As a lot of people are still talking about this morning, APS is still awaiting the Education Secretary's approval of what some call a sweet deal for now former Superintendent Luis Valentino. A judge must also approve that agreement, but many are not happy with the board's decision to pay the former superintendent to step down. Early in last night's meeting, things got a little heated as the board heard from parents and teachers, many of whom said the decision to pay Valentino to resign was the wrong one.
It's ethically wrong on all levels to be paid for a job that is poorly done.
On Monday, the board unanimously approved an $80,000 buyout plus a month's salary for Superintendent Valentino to resign. Valentino was under fire for hiring accused child molester Jason Martinez as his deputy and letting him work without a background check. The board battled back, though, sharply attacking the media and critics, then defending a decision that members say was tough but kept the district out of a costly legal battle.
I'm one elected official who's not a gambler, and I won't gamble with our money.
Several board members also said they believe the public should be far more outraged at the current teacher evaluation. We turn on to this morning. The state will start working on some changes to its spending after an audit revealed special education was shortchanged. The audit released yesterday shows more than $110 million that should have been used for state special ed was not. So where did the money go? Well, according to the report, it was used on other programs or to fill in gaps in school budgets. That shortfall could now jeopardize federal special education funding. Auditor Tim Keller says it shows the problems that plague the state's educational system. The state says it became aware of the problems in 2013 and has changed the way it tracks spending.
Newly hired teachers in Santa Fe will be getting higher pay. School board and teachers union have agreed to a contract that raises the salary for new teachers to $34,000. That's up from $32,000. The contract also calls for incentive pay for teachers who take on more challenging jobs, including $1,500 to work in Title I schools and $5,000 to work in crowded classrooms. Like in other districts, Santa Fe is struggling to fill teaching positions, and the hope is this will also boost morale. Time is 4 minutes past the hour. Let's take a live look at Washington, D.C. this morning, where the 2016 presidential race continues. Donald Trump will meet with the chairman of the RNC in New York today to discuss signing a pledge to support the eventual GOP presidential nominee. The Republican frontrunner has not ruled out a third-party bid, something that could hurt Republican chances of winning back the White House. Meanwhile, Vice President Joe Biden was reluctant to answer questions at an event yesterday when asked if he will soon launch his own presidential campaign. The game developers in Mexico, meantime, have created a video game making light of some of Trump's more controversial statements. The game, which translates to Trump him in English, allows players to throw bowling balls, shoes, cactus leaves, and tequila bottles at him, all while he makes offensive statements. As more things are thrown at the presidential hopeful, he's pushed further and further off stage. Developers say they made the game to help some Latin folks deal with their frustration with Trump.
We turn out to news happening right now. The search for 3 suspected cop killers intensifies this morning as law enforcement in Illinois brought in the search area. Lieutenant Charles Joseph Glinowitz was shot while chasing after 3 suspicious men. The lieutenant radioed in that 2 of them were white, 1 was black. Authorities say they don't have much else when it comes to descriptions, though, which is making the search even more difficult. A woman claiming to have seen 2 hitchhikers near a town in that area has now been arrested for false reports this morning.
We're staying on top of an Amber Alert for a sick 4-year-old boy and his mother. It's still in effect this hour. They disappeared on Monday. Police say Kingston Rodriguez needs immediate medical attention. His mother, 36-year-old Katrina Bryant of Taos, is accused of taking him after she lost custody. The pair may be traveling to Texas in a black Jeep Liberty. Albuquerque police, meantime, say they've identified a suspect who they believe attacked a man at an apartment complex. It happened yesterday morning near Carlisle and Montgomery. Police are now looking for 30-year-old Devin Wallace. That victim is in critical condition.
We could soon learn more about how a missing hiker died in the San Diaz. 40-year-old Brian Conkling, a local paramedic, did not return home from a climbing trip this past weekend. His body was found yesterday afternoon 2 miles from the top of La Luz Trail. Officials are not releasing details of his death until after the medical examiner has conducted an autopsy. We turn now to this. The state is collecting thousands of dollars from parents skipping out on child support. The total, more than $150,000. Last month, an amnesty period allowed parents to settle their bench warrants and pay child support that was owed. When the amnesty ended, officers then went door to door, arresting those who did not pay. The governor says officers made 110 arrests.
Time is 6:07. A California school bus driver is out of a job this morning for letting 3 grown and very drunk women on the bus. Witnesses say they saw the 3 women stumbling around a neighborhood before getting on the bus, but the bus driver didn't notice when they came on the bus. One of the women you can see chats with a boy on a 30-minute ride to the school. It's not until the bus stops that the driver realizes the women aren't students and asks to see IDs. All 3 women are facing charges in connection with stowing away on the bus.
An Albuquerque woman is cleaning up this morning after someone smashed through their van, into her house yesterday. Take a look at the video here. It happened near 2nd and Osuna just before 9 last night. You can see the van went almost entirely through the house. The homeowner says they were sitting in the backyard. Luckily, when they heard that loud bang from the living room, she says everything is pretty much a loss, but firefighters, they were able to get her recently passed father's ashes.
We lived in this neighborhood for a long time, and my mom lived there with my father for many years, and it's a great loss. And I hope people read the speed signs and start slowing down in residential areas, because this is getting to be too much.
No word on what caused the crash or the condition of the driver this morning, nor if that person will be facing charges or cited. New video this morning shows a struggle between a would-be car thief and his victim in Washington. The car owner says he left his car running while he went into the store, but got a bad feeling and went back outside to check on it. That's when he saw a man trying to take off with the vehicle. He jumped into the car as a thief tried to get away. Right there, do you see him? The owner says he was able to throw the car into neutral. That's when the suspected thief tried running. He was able to stop him with the help of an off-duty officer. The suspect is in jail this morning on a $50,000 bond.
That guy sure took a risk, right?
He really did. You should just let the car go.
I know. At that point,
very dangerous situation. First this morning, we start with the facts about the death of Omari Varela. His mother, Cynthia Varela Casals, admitted she kicked him, quote, the wrong way on December 27th, 2013. An autopsy report shows Omari was beaten to death with blunt force trauma to his abdomen. But it's Omari's stepfather, Stephen Casals, who's on trial, charged in connection with his death and with not doing anything to stop the abuse.
And happening today, the second day of the trial is set to begin as the defense continues its efforts to pin the young boy's death entirely on Omari's mother. In court yesterday, we learned that Casals told police he was in the bathroom doing heroin when Omari Varela was beaten to death. First responders testified saying that Casals showed no emotion or concern for Omari when they got to the home on Comanche near San Mateo in December 2013. Prosecutors say Casals was with Omari after he'd been hurt for 30 minutes to an hour without ever calling police. But the defense says that's because he was trying to save the boy, trying to perform CPR. Casals' attorneys say Omari's mother, Cynthia Varela Casals, is the only one responsible for the child's death. In court, they played a video news cameras captured as police took Cynthia to jail.
I was disciplining him and I kicked him the wrong way. It was an accident.
That trial is expected to last 2 weeks. If Casals is convicted, child abuse resulting in death carries a life sentence. It's still not clear whether Omari's mother will be found competent, though, to stand trial.
And this case led to the firing of an Albuquerque officer and the suspension of another. The two went to Omari's home the summer before he was killed after a 911 call where you could hear Stephen Casals threatening the boy. The officers did not listen to that call or interview Omari away from his parents. Instead, they complimented Casals and his wife on their parenting.
Also, following Omari's death, a task force was put together by the city of Albuquerque. Omari had been on the radar of the state Children, Youth and Families Department since at least 2009. By the time that he was allegedly killed by his mother, CYFD had received 9 referrals about the boy's family. The task force was also in charge of getting APD officers training to deal with child abuse victims.
And remember, stay with KRQE News 13 for continuing coverage of the Casals trial. We will be in the courtroom each day to bring you the latest. You can watch the trial live on KRQE.com and through our KRQE News app.
Time now 6:34. Happening today, a county clerk in Kentucky faces a federal judge for the first time after refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. And this is what the office of County Clerk Kim Davis has looked like in the last couple of days as she continues to refuse to issue those licenses. She maintains doing so would violate God's definition of marriage. Clerks in 13 counties are defying the Supreme Court as well.
We turn now to some breaking overnight news. Malaysian officials say a wooden boat carrying 100 migrants heading toward Indonesia has capsized off the coast of Malaysia. There's word that some of the migrants have died. Agents say 12 people have been rescued so far. The operation is still ongoing at this time. Authorities believe the boat may have capsized due to bad sea conditions.
The report finds that more than 300,000 stalled VA applications were for veterans who were already dead. That's according to the Inspector General for the Department of Veterans Affairs. The department's been under fire for years for not giving veterans enough access to care. The report finds about 800,000 records were stalled in the agency's system. The report says over the last 5 years, employees incorrectly marked as completed some 10,000 unprocessed applications, deleting them in the process.
We turn now to this developing story this morning. The fallout continues for the Secretary of State now that another investigation is underway. This time, the Speaker of the State House of Representatives says he's created a special committee to investigate the embezzlement allegations made against Secretary Diana Duran. Don Tripp says the House needs to know if the charges rise to the level of impeachment. Attorney General Hector Valderas handed down the charges on Friday, accusing Duran of burning through her campaign funds at local casinos. To read the full letter from the Speaker or the allegations against Duran, go to our KRQE News app. As if parents don't have enough to worry about this morning, a nationwide study is showing more college students are smoking pot on a daily basis.
In fact, that use is at its highest rate in 35 years. According to the University of Michigan study, young adults see marijuana as less dangerous, and regular use of pot beat out cigarette smoking for the first time. So we spoke with UNM students about it.
Tobacco is a lot more harmful than marijuana, I believe.
We don't take the fact that marijuana is not considered a hard drug lightly at UNM. We do deal with it in our policies here on campus, which prohibit its use.
UNM says a recent study on campus found the number of UNM students who reported using marijuana in the last month went up from 25% to 28% a year ago. Other findings from the University of Michigan report found that ecstasy and cocaine use are rising among college students, but alcohol is on the decline. If you'd like to read the full story, check out the KRQE News app. This morning, the Tax and Revenue Department is sending out a warning for students at NMSU. Someone is targeting them in a new phone scheme. Some students have received aggressive phone calls from people posing as IRS agents. They're demanding immediate payment of delinquent taxes, and they're threatening them with arrest if they don't pay up. Officials say if you do get a call like that, just hang up. For more information or to report a suspicious call, you can find details on the KRQE News app.
Move on to this. New this morning, a college student says he was saved by his iPhone. Fresno police say an armed man wearing a ski mask followed the student home, then tried to snatch his laptop out of his hands. When he would not let it go, the gunman shot one time, then took off. Luckily, the student's phone was in his pocket and he wasn't hurt. He's okay this morning.
Oh, talk about a close call. A worker is lucky to be alive after he makes it out with seconds to spare before a manhole explosion in California. Watch. Ooh. That video was taken from a construction site in California last year. The team member was in the manhole. It was just about to get out. The worker was shaken up but walked away surprisingly unharmed. So far, the construction company's not offered an acceptable reason to investigators as to why the explosion happened. Officials are turning around blaming the county for delays and defending the company's safety record.
Wow, that's terrifying.
No kidding. Look at all the smoke that was involved there, too. Wow. Still to come, a bit